Okay, Krems, I was gonna watch the whole thing with like Pokey and her editor.
There's a crazy clip from Pokimane's stream going viral right now that I really want to talk about, but it also made me want to speak on a story I've never told about an experience I've had that's somewhat similar to the one she describes here, at least in terms of creepiness. And, well, now I finally have a reason to get that baby off my chest here, so that's gonna be
All right, I just want to know what are. Listen, my editors. I need to see your guy. I need you guys to also record what your hands are doing every time you edit my videos. Thank you guys so much.
cathartic. Let's dive in.
Many years ago when I was,
was
like
from a long time
super
ago.
omega active on YouTube and I was working with a lot of different editors. There was one editor in particular that I would work with a lot because his edits were really good, but he had one major problem, which was that sometimes out of nowhere his videos would just be like a week or two late. Months go by and he messages me out of the blue and he says, "Hey, do you have time to talk? I'm ready to finally tell you why I've been struggling so much with deadlines."
In the history of the human race, I don't think there has ever been a good ending to the sentence, "Hey, do you have a minute to talk?" That always precedes the most vile shit you'll ever hear in your life. I can't even imagine a situation where you'd hear that sentence and think anything other than the most negative thing you'll ever hear is about to happen. Like, imagine you're in heaven and the Lord pulls you aside right in front of the pearly gates and he says, "Hey, you got a minute to talk?" Well, you immediately assume you're just going to hell. Like, there's just no world where that sentence ever precedes good news.
Tell me why he proceeds to tell me that the reason why he would sometimes turn around videos a week or two late is because he couldn't stop touching himself. I was trying to pick which word to use. To me, his, in a way, employer of many months.
Stop for a second and really let that stew in.
Okay. A couple of thoughts on this. Why the fuck would you tell her that? Like, I know, you're, listen, I know my first reaction should be like, why the fuck would you do that? But I actually, and let me cook on this. I think the fact that he told her that is more disturbing than the, bro, I get it. People fucking jerk it to some weird shit, right? We all have. I'm guilty of you know, we've all gone, I've gone on some, I've come across some hentai I'm not proud of jerking it to. Everyone has. You don't fucking say it, man. You don't fucking tell people. Like, why would you, why would you tell her? That's like the most disturbing part of it. The second thing is, I know my editors don't do this because that would require me to actually send them the content ahead of time for them to edit. And they constantly don't actually, they're always waiting on me to have stuff to edit, so.
In your noodle, let it marinate for a bit. How Coomer-brained must you be not only to do this degenerate act of just fucking beating your meat to a streamer's gameplay footage that you're editing, but then tell her.
Yeah, that's the other thing. She's like sending like gameplay footage, man. Like, there's, yeah, it's like, bro, like, not only, like I said, it's degenerate enough, the actual action, but what the fuck would you tell her?
That the reason you're late on some of the edits is because you can't stop squeezing your hog to the footage that she sends you. There are so many layers to this onion here. Let's just start by picking apart the most obvious. Why? Now, I know in the most severe cases of porn addicts, they'll sometimes try and communicate directly to the porn star by, like, leaving comments or sending messages or whatever, and that's always the saddest shit you'll ever see. That'll bring a tear to even the strongest man's eyes.
I do remember, though, one time I was on Pornhub, and I remember reading a comment under a video about, like, someone being like, yo, just wanted to, like, let everyone know that I think that they said something like, "Hey, I just want to let you guys know, like, I got to the college I really wanted to get into," and then all the comments underneath were just like, "Hey, man, congrats! Like, yo, go chase your dreams, man." It was like one of the most wholesome comment threads I've read on the internet, and it was on Pornhub. So
Occasionally you'll see those moments where dudes try and directly communicate to the porn star, leaving comments on their posts saying things like, "Can't wait to watch this one when I'm off work," or "When my wife goes to bed, that's when the bad boy will play. Thanks for providing me with tonight's entertainment," whatever. Like, just leaving these desperate posts, you know, cock in hand, giving a salute, like, "Thank you, madame, for your service. This will be a legendary gooning sesh." But even in those cases, they're communicating with someone they don't know. This guy was her editor for many months. And he was not only jerking off to the content he was being sent, which was just gameplay videos, I imagine, or like just chatting stream moments, nothing even sexual, and he was still choking the chicken to it, fucking playing the skin flute, and then had the gall to tell her
Charlie
that
just
he was
has a
doing
way
that
with words.
is just incomprehensibly
skin
unhinged. She was his...
yeah, yeah. Like, I genuinely, I'm not trying to defend, but listen, I think a lot of people jerk it to weird shit and in inappropriate situations. People, like, we've known that. The telling her is fucking insane.
Boss, she was employing him, so he basically went right through HR, bypassed that protocol, went straight to the top of the food chain, kicked in the door, and said, "Listen, boss, I'm fucking obliterating my wiener, and what are you gonna do about it? That's why I've been late on my deadlines." Like, I don't think he came in with that energy. I bet he was, like, super shy about it. He was probably like, "Oh, Pokimane, so I know I've been kind of late recently, but it's only because I was, ooh, how do you say, jerking off to your work."
When I tell you I've never halted a conversation so fast, because I'm like, you are the person that I send like hours of footage to. I don't want to know what you're jacking it to. I don't want to know more. I shouldn't even know how much I know right now. I shouldn't know.
I'd actually argue that it's better she did know this, no matter how awful it is, but that way she can get the fuck away from this weirdo ASAP. Just say, "Take a hike, Buster. This is fucking terrible."
But I felt so bad. So when he's like, you know, like, this is like an addiction of mine, I genuinely felt really, really bad. So I still paid him for months. What the hell do I do? Fire him? Am I even allowed to fire someone because they're...
That's definitely towards the top of the list for the best reasons to fire someone. That actually might be reason number one.
To be fair, I think it's like early. I think it was like early in Pokey's career, and like, dude, like, firing people's like hard to do. But it's like, it's kind of like a, you know,
Why you could go ahead and can somebody. Because they can't stop fucking beating their cock to you, their employer. And they're also not doing their job well.
I've heard enough. I can't. It's too much for me.